So, why do you need phases if you're trying to lose body fat and build muscle? So, I'm Alan Jaramillo. I own Built Bodies Coaching, and we help men not only drop body fat, but most importantly, keep it off. And we help men from the ages of 30, 40, 50 plus, actually. So, one thing that still confuses a lot of people is how the actual sustainability part of this whole thing works. And that's what I'm going to be showing you in today's video if you have the patience to sit through this little talk, okay? I'm going to show you case studies, examples, and what we're doing with our clients right now. On the screen, you see Lamar, who was able to go from 224 pounds to 169.8, okay? Now, the special thing about his transformation is that it did not happen in 3 months. Okay, I know that those are what gets clicks and the popular thing to do and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not interested in showing you that. I'm interested in showing you a client who's been with our team for more than 2 years. Okay, and that's exactly what you're going to be seeing today. If you don't follow the phases, you run the risk of falling off, hitting plateaus, and repeating the same cycle over and over again. And the reason why you should listen to this is because if you want to keep on making the same mistake over and over and over and over again, then just keep on doing what you're doing. But I'm going to show you exactly why it was different for Lamar. So I'm showing you right now a 3-year timeline of his weight while working with us, okay? Now, as you can see, it wasn't all the way down. We didn't just do a fat loss phase, okay? We split his timeline up into 3 different phases so that we can get him the best results possible, but also sustain them long term, okay? Now, if you see at the top of the screen here, or top of the chart, we started at around 224 pounds. Now, several months later, we were only about, a couple pounds down. We didn't really focus on fat loss to start off, and that's because we wanted to make sure that we set ourselves up for a successful fat loss phase by doing a long runway. We're creating a long runway for a fat loss phase. Now, for most of you guys who've tried to lose fat in the past, the mistake that you may have made is you're like, okay, I'm going to just start losing fat now. Okay. And maybe you're 20, 30 pounds overweight. You're like, okay, I'm going to go right into a fat loss phase. And the problem with that is that you're probably not ready for a fat loss phase. Do you have any, habits, any consistency, anything that you're doing that's, going to guarantee results in your life? Chances are no. That's the harsh reality for a lot of guys that we speak to before they start with us, is that they're not being consistent on their own. So I don't care what phase you do. It's fat loss phase, muscle building phase, whatever it is. If you're not able to be consistent, it's pointless. So that's what we really focus on in this first phase right here. This is known as a metabolism building phase, and we focus on building muscle and getting their calories up so that we can lose a crap ton of weight. In the second phase, we did go into a fat loss phase, but as you can see, it wasn't forever, okay? Right here, we went from 217 down to about 200 pounds or so, and we took a little bit of a break, okay? And during that break, we allow the client to kind of just settle into their new body. We're restoring some of those normal hunger cues during this time, and we are then going to prepare for another fat loss phase if the client wants to continue digging, okay? In total, Lamar went from 224 pounds to 169, and that's a lot of weight to lose in one go. And for most people that do it that way, they do end up gaining the weight back for that reason. But as you can see with Lamar, he's been with us for 3 years. This did not happen overnight. This is something that happened gradually over time, which makes it even more sustainable. And what happens, what phases should I go through if I want to lose 20 or 40 pounds is really the question that I want to answer for you, okay? And I'm going to explain each phase in detail and then give you another example here, okay? So here's the 3 phases, all right? You have a metabolism building phase, you have a fat loss phase, and you have a reverse dieting phase, okay? Now, the way that this is supposed to work is that each phase complements one another, okay? And they work in a specific order. So first up, you have a metabolism building phase. This is what I was talking about with Lamar, where we spent time building muscle and getting his calories higher. And you might hear that and say, what the hell are you talking about? Why do you want to get his calories higher. That makes no sense. Here's why it makes sense. 9 out of 10 guys, even more than that. I mean, the failure rate for dieting and regaining it back is like 99%. Like 99% of people, they lose weight and they gain it back. Why? Because the diet's unsustainable. They're too hungry. Their hunger cues aren't working the way that they should, meaning that they are getting hungrier when they should not, okay? And a lot of that can be from hormone imbalances from an aggressive fat loss phase. A lot of it can be, your sleep. Those habits are very important. Your stress, whatever you're dealing with in your personal life, all these things add into the mix eventually, okay? And during this metabolism building phase, what we're doing is we're getting your body used to more food so that you can utilize nutrients to build muscle and keep fat off. And this makes it so much easier to lose fat. And this complements going into a fat loss phase. Once we go into a fat loss phase, most people know, you're just going to eat less. However, when you do a fat loss phase, in my opinion, properly, it's backed by a muscle building program. If you just focus on, and this is why it's not a weight loss phase, this is why it's called a fat loss phase, which means that we're retaining muscle tissue during this entire phase. That's the goal. So that's why we have around a 4-month, 5-month strict timeline that we're staying in this phase for. And sometimes we might take breaks like you saw with Lamar's weight loss progress, okay? And during this fat loss phase, we're focusing on, yes, reducing calories over time, but we're focused on setting up the workouts, setting up the macros to complement that of muscle retention. That's our biggest goal during this phase, besides obviously fat loss, okay? And we're not really focused on a number. We're really focused on retaining muscle tissue, allowing you to keep your hunger under control and your energy under control. Because we've all been there where we've done a crazy diet and then eventually one day you're just kind of thrown in the towel. You're like, I can't do this anymore. Lamar didn't have that experience. Lamar's still eating a crazy amount of calories in order to sustain his results, okay? Then we have the reverse diet. And this is a newer term that's come up, and sometimes it's controversial to bring this word, these two words here, but it sounds exactly like the opposite of a fat loss phase, right? It's a reverse dieting phase. And what that basically means is after a fat loss phase, you're hungry, maybe irritable if you're like me, and you're in a position where you're very likely to regain the weight, okay? And what happens is that a lot of people, we have my dog making a guest appearance. What happens is that you have a lot of people that he's like, this guy's talking way too freaking loud. I'm going to go out of my crate, out of this office and go chill by myself. That's hilarious. Okay, but anyways, at the end of a fat loss phase, you are more likely to be irritable, hungry, and low energy. All three of these things are very, very easy they contribute to making it easier to gain the weight back because they make you want to eat a crap ton of food, okay? So in order to reverse some of these effects that are caused from a disruption of the hormones, we focus on a reverse diet where we give you that food back. And we're not giving you so much that you gain all the weight back, but we're giving you enough to start getting that energy up, start getting better workouts in. And it's a chain reaction. If we start feeding your body slowly, like more food slowly over time, you're going to get stronger. Your energy is going to come back. You're going to feel really good. You're not going to be as hungry. And then you're going to hit PRs in the gym, which is going to help you build even more muscle long term. And that's why we divide it this way. This is ultimately how you can sustain fat loss long term. And there's this term that I always bring up. It's called changing your body fat set point. And I will go back to Lamar's chart here so you can understand this. When Lamar came to us, his normal was 224 pounds. That was his normal. Now his normal is 169 pounds. How does that happen, right? The reason why it happens is because we were able to get his body ready for a fat loss phase here. And then when we increased calories right here to give him a break, 200-ish pounds became his new normal. So now Lamar's new normal is no longer 224, it's 200. And then we repeat the process one more time and then make his normal around 170 pounds. And that is what's called changing your body fat set point, changing where your body naturally sits. When I was 240 pounds, my body was sitting there naturally. Okay. I did a fat loss phase. I did this whole process. Then my new normal was 220. I did the process again. Then my new normal became 210 pounds. I did the process again. Now my normal is around 200 pounds. And that is how I've changed where I sit effortlessly without having to really try to diet too much. Okay, is around 200 pounds. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about one more case study here. Okay. And with this case study, we have our client, Joey. Joey, little bit of a different scenario, but you can see how there's different phases that Joey's been in. Okay. And I want to talk about why this is important. If you just try and accomplish one goal willy-nilly forever, you're going to lose yourself inside of the transformation. And this is what I've personally noticed as a coach. So when Joey came to us, he said, I want to be as lean as I possibly can in the end. And I want to retain a crap ton of muscle. How do we do that? And I say, okay, perfect. You might think that let's go right into a fat loss phase. No, I said, Joey, I think that we should put on more muscle first. Okay. And this is not something that maybe Joey wanted to hear at the time, but he trusted us. And that was the important thing too. So he came to us around 175 pounds, getting to know his body for a couple months. We got a little bit below 170, not necessarily like intentionally trying to get as lean as possible, but we wanted to start with a good baseline and have Joey a little bit leaner before we started packing on muscle. Then, as you can see, we went from 170s all the way up to 195 was his highest weigh-in. And during this time, we packed on an incredible amount of muscle. He is a natural athlete, and that allowed us to really take our time without putting on a crap ton of additional body fat. So his high was 196, and then we did a very long, slow, and steady fat loss phase, okay? And during this time, as you can see, there's a lot of little spikes, there's peaks, there's valleys here. And that's because, we don't have expectations for any client to be perfect all the time. Joey did a marvelous job at staying as consistent as he possibly could, but he was traveling. He was dealing with work, like he was dealing with social events, family coming in, all that stuff. Despite all that, he's been able to go from 196 to 161. And obviously his transformation is just truly incredible. So again, this is an example of how we set up phases for clients. Now, if you have any questions, concerns, drop them down below. If you'd like to book a call with our team, please click the link in the bio. It'll take you straight to our calendar. It should be pretty easy to book a call if you want to do a call to kind of find out what your phase by phase approach would look like for you. And I like to visualize this for people. So I have a full presentation that I create for each individual client, depending on what it is that they would like to accomplish. So if that's you, click the link below. If not, stay tuned for the next video because we're going to be discussing a lot more in-depth topics on this channel. Bye.